If you've been investing a ton of time into your business, or anything for that matter, like writing a book, going to the gym, whatever it is, and you're not seeing the results that you want from the work that you're putting in, this video is for you, because physics actually explains what work is and how work works. Why the hustle and the grind, and you just got to work more units of input, more effort, why that misses the mark, right? Because you know you can work your ass off and not go anywhere. And also why, hey, just do a couple hours of deep work in the morning, right? Like that's all you got to do, and then you can just drink margaritas on the beach. Why that mindset kind of misses the mark too, because you know, hey, well, I'm not going to get very far if I'm not actually investing a lot of effort. So I'm going to take this physics formula, I'm going to break it down in a really simple way to define what work is and explain why some people manage to get a ton of results for the unit of input or effort that they're putting in, and why some people seem to just bust their ass endlessly and not go anywhere. So let's dive in. In physics, work has only happened if you actually apply force and move something in the right direction, okay? And there's a simple formula for this in physics. Force times distance times theta. I feel really douchey saying theta, so we're gonna call this alignment. And I'll break down what this means and how it relates to work. Force times distance times alignment is what gets you actual work. In physics, force is effort, okay? Say you're making outbound calls for your AE, and your job is to set appointments so that they can close deals. The effort is probably going to be something like number of calls. Now, say I'll use a few different examples for this just to put it in context. Say you're going to the gym and you're lifting some weights. Let's call it the number of reps, right? That you put in. So we'll say the number of reps at the gym. And let's say you're an author, you're trying to get your book published, and you sit down to write the book and you invest 10 hours a day, right? Like you sit down, you get to work, you block the time. That's going to be number of hours writing. All right. Now distance is going to be the results that you get from that force. In this case, if we just carry this over, the number of calls that you make, let's say number of appointments booked. Cool. Good metric. All right. Number of reps, like you go to the gym, you lift the weights, and let's say it's going to be the amount of muscle gained. And then if you're an author, say number of hours you invest, let's go with number of words written. Okay. You could say pages written, something like that. Okay. But you get the gist. It's the amount of output that you get from this input. Now, for most people, this is where the equation stops. You say, well, Ray, like I'm BDR, I'm making the calls, I'm setting the appointments. That's my job. I've done work. Well, at the business level, what I would look at and I'd say, has this actually gotten us to our real goal though? And this is where, this is really important. Like this is the thing to hammer home. This is where alignment comes in. Now, alignment is going to be the impact that distance has on your actual goal. For example, I push against a wall really hard, right? I'm expending a lot of effort. That is going to be a lot of force that I'm investing. But what if I push the wall 15 feet that way and I spend a ton of effort doing it, but in reality, I needed that wall to go that way? I would look at that and say, I did a lot of work though, Ray. Like I put in the effort, I moved the damn thing. And somebody else would say, yeah, but the thing was supposed to go that way. So you know what physics says? Physics says no work has been done. If you needed the wall to go that direction and you spent all of your effort pushing it that direction, no real work has actually been completed as a result. And this is like a really bitter pill to swallow for those of us who have invested a shitload of energy and a shitload of time and a shitload of hours into something only to see zero meaningful results from it. If we look at this, just using the examples that we have, if we said the real goal was sales, if I made the calls and I got the appointments, but I didn't get any sales, then no real work has been completed for the business. Just like the fact of the matter. If I go to the gym and I put on 15 pounds of muscle, but my goal was to lose weight, no work has been completed. If invest the time writing, I write the pages, and nothing gets published, no work has been completed. And that is what makes this piece so critical. That is the amount of alignment that your effort and the movement, the results from that effort are towards your real goal. If this is zero, like we all know, any of these variables zero, this is going to be zero. So if it's not aligned with what you're doing, you're not doing real work. You're wasting your time. You're wasting your energy, potentially moving yourself backwards. The hustle culture gets one thing absolutely right. It gets force. Okay. They say, dude, you just gotta try harder. You gotta put more hours in. You gotta make more phone calls. You gotta put more reps in. You gotta invest more energy, more time, more effort, more work, but it's not really, right? Like we've established that. They get that piece right. But if all of that effort doesn't go anywhere, then you haven't done any real work. And if all of that effort does get you somewhere, but it's not aligned with the actual outcome that you want, then you haven't done real work. I can't tell you how many times I've thought more force is the answer. And when it's not, like more force isn't the answer if you're not moving something or if you're not moving something in the right direction. Maybe lay off the force and spend some time thinking about, what is the outcome? Right? Is this aligned with what I'm trying to do? Am I making any meaningful progress? Am I getting any results from what I'm doing? Like, stop putting in force. That's the challenge with the hustle culture. Now, on the flip side of things, you've got the other extreme, which says, nah, dude, just get up at like 4 a.m, do, a few hours of deep work and you are good. Maybe, like, that's really great for focus. And by the way, I do some of this, right? Like I go for, 2-3 hour walk and I do a lot of deep work and it's like, it's instrumental. Like it's very helpful. Like it's very valuable. So long as that deep work is actually, aligned with what you need it to do. If I go do a bunch of deep thinking and I come back and I'm an author and I'm like, man, that was really good. I thought a lot. That's phenomenal. Like I've, good solid focus session. Did I get any words on a page? Any distance as a result of that? Did anything happen? Was there any movement? Any real results? And even if it is it enough force? Is it enough effort to get you really where you really want? Like, yeah, it's great to go out and spend your time doing deep work if you're going to write a book. But if you don't sit down and actually invest the time and you don't get words on paper, your shit will not get published. Where you put your time, your most valuable resource that you have as a human being, where you invest your time, where you put your energy, and making sure that it's actually doing something, and then that the thing that it's doing is what you really want it to do. So how do you apply this? Like, what's it actually mean to you? Because of how important alignment is, we need to understand what we're aligning to, right? So I would say, number one, clarify your real goal. So I'll just use, because this is my world, I'll just use a salesperson, right? The real goal is not necessarily appointments booked. It would be appointments sat, right? And then it would be appointments sat with qualified people. And it would be appointments sat with qualified people. Why? Because we want sales, okay? So we clarify the actual real goal. In this case, we'll say it's sales. Then what we need to do is define our distance metric. What I mean by this is, if you've ever seen any of my videos or heard anyone talk about working backwards on the math, right? This is like, okay, understand your goal. Now, what are the measurable markers along the way, the milestones along the way that tell you whether you are A, making distance, and B, if you're making distance that's aligned with the actual outcome that you want? This is where you do that. You define your distance metrics. This will depend on, your sale, but it might be proposals and it might be discoveries sat. It might be appointments sat. But understanding what those real metrics are going to be essential to determining, is the distance that I'm moving this thing actually happening, first of all, like is there real progress? And then is it going the right direction? Okay. And then the third thing we want to do, apply necessary amount of force. This is somewhat of a dynamic metric. So this may mean, the number of calls that you're going to make for something. Like you look at this and you just work backwards. But the important piece is what you've really done when you do this properly is you've said, I know what the goal is. I'm using every layer on here. I know what the goal is, right? I've got this. I understand what the real outcome is. And that's going to give me my directional angle. That's going to give me my alignment. So these are the metrics that are going to tell me if I'm on track or not. And this is the amount of work that I'm going to put in to get there. And if I put in a shitload of work and I've got the metrics that are on like the right ones, and I know that this is what the goal really is, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a ton of work done. Okay. But if I don't know those things, then I'm not. And if I just listen to the hustle culture crowd, I'm not. If I just listen to the meditate and do 3 hours of work in the morning, I'm not. It's not either or. It's all of the above. Like you need all of these. It's why it's an equation. And when I saw this, it resonated so deeply. And I said, this is what real productivity is about. And this is why some people stay stuck forever, because they just focus on one of these metrics. They don't look at the entire equation, and they don't take the time to let off the force pedal sometimes to make sure that there's measurable distance that's occurring, and they're taking the time to measure it and see if there's real results, right? Or they're so focused on high leverage work and, making sure that like unit of output per input that they miss the point, which is a lot of force is still going to produce a lot more work. Right? Like if you go do the few hours of deep work, and that's great. But if you invested the rest of the day into applying what you just did, you would get there faster. You would get more work done. It's simple physics. Effort doesn't impress physics. Motion doesn't impress physics. Like real work is done when you apply effort and get distance, and it's aligned with what you really want. I hope this has been helpful. If it has, go ahead and subscribe to my newsletter. There's a link below in the description, and hit that subscribe button and you can get more videos from me. Drop any comments that you have below. I'll do my best to answer them. Thanks for watching. Adios.